What's up? Welcome back to the Upside Down Church. I'm Jake. Today I'm going to talk about some more 2025 releases. I think the past video I called I mentioned that like those were the albums I considered masterpieces from the year. As my kind of grading scale is still kind of in the works of my brain, I've realized that masterpiece is kind of a bold statement on those, and I'd probably label them as excellent and reserve the masterpiece, rating for like albums that would hit like my top 50 of all time, like the best albums of all time level stuff. So those were all albums I'd call excellent in the past video. So these are all the albums that I would call like the next rung down, the next tier down. This is all like great stuff, very, very good albums. I don't like to do like perfect 10 out of 10. That's me. I don't know, but let's get right into it. I got a lot of albums to go over in this video. We want to get right into it. Real quick before we get into it, playing in the background is this Elderwood Hymns of the Ancient album. This is a local Salt Lake City area project, one-man project. Really cool atmospheric black metal. So if you like it, check it out. I'll drop a link in the description. Let's get right into these. First album that I'm going to cover. This is Martirio with Los Siete Celos. This is a band from Chile. Shit won't focus. Yeah, this is metallic hardcore, metalcore project. This was released on the Coming Strife. Really, really cool, kind of Archangel style, early Heaven Shall Burn style metalcore. Some Contention, like if you dug the Contention album from last year, this might be up your alley. It's worth checking out. Yeah, really cool metallic hardcore, metalcore, like 90s sounding stuff. Next up we got Motherless, Do You Feel Safe? Motherless are a band from Chicago. Kind of sludgy post-metal, if you're familiar with the Atlas Moth. I think half the band, somewhere there like that. At least two members, maybe three, are members of the Atlas Moth, including I think the vocalist is Stavros from the Atlas Moth. But yeah, the other guys are from. There's a guy from Without Waves, which is a band I'm not familiar with, and then the drummer is the current drummer of November's Doom from another Chicago band. That was another album that could have made this video if I'd picked it up. I really like that one. It's on my list to pick up. that November's Doom is one of the better Death Doom albums of the year. But yeah, if you like the Atlas Moth, this is like a more feral version of the Atlas Moth. So that's Motherless. And then next up we got from Canada, British Columbia, the only like straight up death metal album that would have made either of these videos. This is Hedonist with Scapulamency. Yeah, these guys are playing a crusty bolt thrower style with some like Swedish death metal thrown in there. Killer vocals, just killer instrumentals. The one kind of thing they could have done to improve it is add in a little more kind of solo work, whatnot. But yeah, this is killer death metal. If I mention it, I think it's pretty killer death metal. I'm not a death metal guy, and that one really stuck out to me. Put out on Southern Lord. So that's Hedonist with Scapulamency. Those are all the CDs I got, and next up we'll get into some vinyl. Should have de-sleeved these to prevent glare before the video, but all well. First vinyl I'll mention is Wounds of Recollection. I found the love that I was looking for. This is from Atlanta, Georgia. This is the same guy that I showed in the last video, the Blood Mountain Black Metal Choir. It's the same guy behind that project, but this is completely different style. He's also, if you're familiar with I Slept on the Moon. That was an album that was put out through Binder and Recordings last year. That was like a more post-rocky kind of album, but this is kind of like maybe you'd call it the middle ground between the two, probably closer to the I Slept on the Moon stuff. Yeah, it's if you know the bands Respire or Svalbard, those are bands I would compare this to. Really emotive. Death Heaven, a little bit of Death Heaven, but more towards the Respire Svalbard sound. Definitely some moments that are really like Death Heaven-y, but probably a little more post-hardcore emo than Death Heaven gets on this. Super emotive, really. This probably should have been in the last video. That's how much I like this one. I love this album. It had a big impact on me. Really connected with me. Next up is Sadiction by Hangman's Chair. These guys are from France and Belgium. Members of Archangel, which sounds nothing like this. Archangel, 90s metallic hardcore, metalcore, very closely adjacent to the H8000 scene out of Belgium. But yeah, this is it sounds weird to describe it like this, but to me, it's Pallbearer mixed with Type O negative, mixed with The Cure, mixed with Queensryche. And see, I've heard people describe this, with those first three bands, but I hear Queensryche influence in this, which is weird. And I don't know if anybody else can hear that, but once I heard it, I was like, every time I listen to it, I'm like, it just makes me like, I want to go listen to some Queensryche after this. I don't know what it is about it that calls to Queensryche, but it does. But yeah, this is fantastic stuff. Very depressive, emotional, doomy post stuff. Yeah, check out Hangman's Chair if you haven't. Their last album, A Loner, I think I connected with that one a little bit more than this one, but this one is still a great release. Let's see. This one I'm not taking out of the sleeve because it's got one of those damn sticky sleeves, but check that out. 1 out of 6 on this one. This is this variant. There was other pressings and stuff, but this is Cenotaphe with Chimeries. I don't know how you say that in French. Yeah, French black metal. Very melodic. It's got some atmosphere there. It's got some folky touches, some kind of folky medieval touches to it. I like this one a little bit better than the last. I know some people prefer the previous album to this, and I know at least one guy that puts that in his like all-time French black metal albums, but I'm not quite there with Cenotaphe, but this is still a very good, great release. If you're into French black metal, it's worth listening to. Next up, I'll show this off a little bit. That one in the back is so I'll see if I can show it off a little more. There's a little note there, but yeah, this is there's a test pressing in here as well that I added to the sleeve. But this is Dolven, In My Grave Silence. Acoustic doom. Didn't know that was a thing, a possibility before I heard this project, but yeah, really impressed with Dolven. Dolven are from the Pacific Northwest, United States, Portland, Washington area. It's got 2 guys from Aglock, Hunter Jin and Jason Walton, as well as Nick Woos. I don't know. His other project is Traveler's Rest. If you know that one, I'm not familiar with Traveler's Rest. And then on this one, they brought in Yori. I'm not going to try and say his last name, from Ineffrence as the vocalist, and it just completely elevated the project for me. I've always been a big fan of Yori. His clean vocals are outstanding. Yeah, very mournful, sorrowful, acoustic doom. Check out Dolven if that sounds interesting to you. Next up, back to some metalcore. We got Based Out at Eternity's Edge. Put out another album put out through The Coming Strife. I don't know if it was co-released with anybody. It doesn't show here on the back. I can't remember. But yeah, this is another great 8,000 band. Probably the closest thing that came to last year's contention, which is so far my album of the decade. So anything that comes close to that I'm gonna like. But yeah, Based Out at Eternity's Edge. They're from Spain. Definitely a project worth checking out if you dig 90s style metallic hardcore. Especially like the Belgian scene. Alright, keep it going. This is Ellereve is how I say it. Could be pronounced Ellereve, but Ellereve. And this is a project from Austria. This album is where I came in on them, but this one marks a progression to a more post-metal sphere for the band. Before they were one of those bands that you would consider like borderline, is it metal, is it not? Kind of in the Emma Ruth Rundle, Chelsea Wolfe vein. The vocals are very reminiscent of that style, as well as like darker, maybe spacing on her name, the former vocalist of Draconian up until a few years ago. Got some of that in there, but doomy post metal, even post black at times. It's got JJ from Harakiri from the Sky, Harakiri for the Sky, as a guest vocalist, as well as the guy from Heritoire as a guest vocalist on a couple tracks. So yeah, this album is great. Especially the song Like a Moth to the Flame. That song is the standout track on here for me. If every track was as good as that one, this album probably would have been album of the year, up in that, masterpiece territory. But as it is, it's a great, very good album. Check it out. Put out through Eisenwald, so if you consider that a mark of something to check out. How about some Alex Spool, Collier de Hombre stuff? The prolific musicians that seem to release 5 or 6 albums a year between each of them. Each of them probably are involved in 5 or 6 albums each year. But this is Kveldstimer with The Cursed Oak. 90s Norwegian black metal worship on here. Very atmospheric. Bit raw, bit icy, just killer riffs throughout it. Yeah, if you're a black metal fan, I'm sure you are familiar with this one and most of what these guys do. They release nothing but great stuff, but this was my album, my favorite from all of their projects this year. This Kveldstimer, The Cursed Oak. Also the drummer LC is involved in a lot of their stuff. There was that Death Doom project that Alex Will did, and that drummer was also in it, and he was the vocalist on that one, and he's also on that Hexano stuff, which is killer stuff. But yeah. Okay. A couple more to go. I think 4 more. This is Ghostsmoker with Inertia Cult. These guys are from Australia. And this is some killer kind of sludge, extreme sludge mixed with some stoner doom tinges. If you dig stuff like Thou, Conan, Chained to the Bottom of the Ocean, this is an album worth checking out. Really, probably it was my favorite of that style. Probably my favorite across to all sludge. Although that Wake album was really good too. I didn't mention this. I only pulled stuff that I didn't really see get mentioned a lot. This isn't all of my stuff from this range of albums that I picked up, but there's a few, but they were kind of talked about already quite a bit, so I didn't pull those. But yeah, this is right there with that Wake as far as sludge album of the year. Ghostsmoker with Inertia Cult. Next, we'll talk about Unreqvited. This is A Pathway to the Moon. At first, this is a project that I hold very close to my heart. Solo project from Canada. First 2 albums are among my favorite albums. On first listen, I was a bit underwhelmed. It didn't hit me as hard as I wanted it to. But upon repeated listens, I really fell in love with this release. From tracks like the Antimatter, the Starforger, Void Essence, Frozen Tears, that whole middle chunk of the album really latched onto me, and this is now probably my third favorite after those first 2 releases from Unreqvited. I didn't say what kind of music it is for those unfamiliar. Post-black, black gaze style stuff. Next Next up, we got a slab of black and death metal. I think this might be the only band I show today that I actually caught live this year. This is Drouth with The Teeth of Time. These guys are from the Portland area, I think. Pacific Northwest somewhere. Portland, Seattle, Oregon, Washington, somewhere up there. But killer artwork on this one. All their artwork is done by the frontman of the band. This is just absolutely feral kind of black and death metal, or it's more towards the black metal side, so maybe death and black metal, I don't know. Saw these guys live. They were one of the opening bands when I saw Dragged Into Sunlight. That show had the most insane drumming that I've seen in my life between Glassing, Drouth, and Dragged Into Sunlight. All three of those guys were just insane on the drums. That was what really stood out to me on their set, on Drouth's set as well. All three of those sets, the drumming was just insane. But yeah, if you are into the more Black Death side of black metal, Drouth is a band worth checking out. If you want to know more about that one, Rick did from the Dreadful Minutes did a full long review on that one over on Heavy Metallurgy early this year when it came out. He will describe that much better than me. Two more. This is Bloody Valkyria with In Our Home Across the Fog. This one shocked me that I didn't see more people mention, because last year's I saw mentioned a few times, and this one is an improvement on their release from 2024 for me. The last album was more Tolkien themed, and this one goes into themed on like the Elden Ring, from what I understand. The back art. This released by Northern Silence Productions, so you kind of know what kind of stuff you're getting here. Epic black metal. Got some melodic black metal touches in there, as well as some on the guitar work, some very like, I think of them like very trad metal guitar work on there throughout it. There's moments where it goes very traditional with the guitar solos and stuff. Really cool project from Finland, Bloody Valkyria. Alright. Last album I'll show is Trest with Energumen. Trest is a German black metal project. As far as I know, all their releases kind of focus on the topical thing of like witchcraft, witches, just killer on the more raw side of black metal, but not like the recorded in the fucking third level deep dungeon basement style raw. It's raw, but still very listenable black metal, very melodic, killer guitar work throughout it. If you haven't checked out Trest, check them out. Both of their last 2 full lengths have been, I mean, all their work is killer, but their last 2 full lengths have been top notch shit. So yeah, Trest with Energumen. Check it out. Yeah, that's everything I got today to show off. To wrap on my 2025 stuff, so we will move on from here and continue to be active. Got a couple more videos that I already have planned. Get those out soon. Yeah, thank you for watching. Oh, one more thing. I should have mentioned that it's at the first. What was it back on? Was it January 31st? Or February 1st? I think it was January 31st on heavy metallurgy. I was granted the pleasure of being a guest on that show. We talked about albums we love but don't often spin. It was a really fun time to hop on there with Marty, and Alan couldn't make it that episode, but it was me, Marty, and Charlie from the project Weft, as well as he plays with Panopticon. So go over to Heavy Metallurgy if you haven't, and check out that episode. It was a lot of fun hanging out with Marty and Charlie. Yeah. Thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you next time.